Hey guys, welcome back. I am not sure what I'm going to talk about today, apparently, because I'm just sitting here staring at nothing. But I had something to say, like my soul, if you want to call it that, was urging me to talk. So I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm not going to talk about twin flames today, hopefully. Maybe. We'll see if it's relevant. Twin flames might come up, but right now, what I want to talk about is the difference between reality, singularity, and duality. There's a lot of people out there that believe that our soul is exists in a duality, that our soul is a singularity, that all reality is a singularity, and that this world exists in duality. I'm not here to talk about what is out there beyond the world we live in right now, right? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. But we can see that there is a duality about this world, good and bad, light and dark, up and down, here and gone, together and separate. Duality exists here. Morality exists because duality exists. What does that mean? It means that because we believe in opposites like good and bad, it means that we have to define them and decide which things belong on the good side of the line and which things belong on the bad side of the line. And that's literally what morality is, right? It's deciding as a society or as a group, whatever group is making the decisions, deciding what belongs on which side of the line. In a singular world, in the real reality, the reality that we don't perceive with our minds, we perceive it with our souls. In that reality, there's no line. What does that mean? It means there's no good and bad. I know. Think about that for a second. What would it be like if the world didn't believe in good and bad? I had this conversation on a Facebook post several years ago now, probably 2 or 3 years ago, because I've actually not even opened Facebook in like 9 months or something like that. I haven't had it on my phone in about a year. That's Leo back there. He says hi. He's gonna get in his little bed. So when we think the thought, or when we perceive, when we perceive that there is no morality, right? There's no line between good and bad. There's no way to tell one from the other because nothing like duality actually really exists when we perceive reality with our soul instead of our minds. It gets real scary for some folks. People don't know how to handle the concept of unity, the true concept of unity and reality, which is that all things are one. Some people have a hard time with that because we want to live in our identities. We want to identify with something and identify ourselves from other things, other beings, other people. And the way that we do this is by deciding that we are other And then deciding, that we're self, and then deciding that all others are other. And when we do that, when we separate ourselves from the rest of the world in that way, then we are, in fact, choosing to live in duality. Did you know you could choose? So it's a little harder to choose to live in unity than it is to choose to live in duality, because the world we live in is dual. We see things outside of ourselves. We don't see things as being part of ourselves. It is, we are born into the world, and we perceive the world that we live in with our minds. That's what our minds are for. And so it's very hard to sort of like untrain yourself from that, because you're like, wait, whoa. Killing other people is wrong. That's bad. Obviously, there's good and bad, because that's clearly bad. And I know, look, try not to like dive into the deep end. Look, if you want to, we can go there. But I'm just trying to like make this a little easy for you. We don't have to do this whole killing thing right now today. We can worry about that later. Maybe something a little easier would be understanding that all things have consequences, or all things have an effect, and it's not always clear whether that effect is going to have a good outcome or a bad outcome until all of the outcomes play out, right? And how do you know when to say that all of the outcomes in a situation have played out? They're infinite. So if you can't decide until all of the outcomes play out whether or not a situation was good or bad, because the outcomes are infinite and you will never know what the final outcome is, because there's no such thing, how can you decide if something is good or bad? You can't say that all things, death is bad, so that's why killing is bad. Taking somebody else's life is bad because it's not it's not up to you to decide whether someone lives or dies. Look, these are all concepts. These are all things that we constructed as a society in order to perpetuate our species. They're just necessary constructs in order for humans to continue to exist in a group. You realize that when you don't exist in a group, a lot of these things don't even matter. Morality does not matter. So in that regard, when you perceive yourself as being unified with all of the other things out there, and you all exist, we all exist, I all exist as a singular being, morality, once again, is not necessary and does not exist. I expect to get a lot of pushback on this this concept, because it's very controversial. There was a ton of pushback on the Facebook group or post or whatever that was ages ago, and alienating. It's a very alienating thing to talk about. I get that. I think we've seen from some of my other posts in this playlist that I'm not afraid to be a little alienating. Just not afraid. And I think that is, that's kind of fantastic when the truth is easy to speak. When it's easy to speak, you gotta speak it. And right now I'm perceiving this as easy to speak. I'm not afraid. And you shouldn't be either. If you're listening to this and it scares you, that's cool. Be scared. You can be scared. You can feel whatever you want to feel. If you're listening to this and it doesn't scare you, it infuriates you. Good. Be infuriated. You should be. You should be infuriated that no one taught you from the time that you were a child. Sorry, my cats just went to the litter box and is choking me. You can, wow, that is terrible. You can, holy crap. Jesus, Cosmo. Anyway, you can be infuriated. I think you should be. Like, how have we not been taught from day one that we're connected to all other life on this planet, all other things, all other beings, all other existences? It infuriates me to think about that too. But again, the point I'm trying to make here, before I go, because I gotta go, because this cat thing is killing me. Holy crap, every time I take a breath in. The point I'm trying to make here is that perceiving duality is a choice. You can totally do that, and you should. In cases, like in some cases it's completely relevant. You have to. When you have to talk to another person and engage with them, you can talk to them in duality. You can perceive them as another person so that you can interact with them and experience what it's like to be two people or to be self and other. That is an experience that you can have on this earth. I wonder, because I haven't really figured it out yet, and you won't with your brain, because your brain can't, but your soul can. And if you can figure it out, what is it like, or what would it look like, feel like, be like, to experience the world in singularity, to experience the world as if everyone was you, to recognize that you are an infinite being, that your soul exists, to perceive the world from that standpoint, from the soul instead of from the mind, to perceive the self and talk to another person as the self and self instead of self and other. What would that be like? What would that look like? Let me know in the comments what you think, how it made you feel. If you're mad, if you hate it, let me know. Let me know your thoughts. Some of your thoughts, imagine that your thoughts are gonna be duality-based thoughts, because that's all we know how to do is think. We can only think with our brains, with our minds. Feelings, however, let me not say that, because that's going to give you a whole nother idea. And I don't want you thinking that feelings are valid, because they're mostly not. That's another video, don't worry. We're not going to do that today. But feelings, I mean, look, it's like a sixth sense, really. Ugh, I hate that phrase too. Damn it, why do I have to explain this in like human words? It's a knowing. It's a what is the word? It's a conviction. It's a total and utter energetic knowledge of what you are, who you are. And that identity has nothing to do with the body you were born into, the person you think you are, the reason you think you're here. It has nothing to do with your mom, brother, sister, husband, kids, cats. Nothing to do with any of that. It is all just right here. It's all just that singularity, that one point, that one knowing and knowledge that you are all things on this planet. That's it. Have a great evening.